All right, friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at our first flip, the simple. Not because it's necessarily simple, but because that's what the Russians named it, and the Russians created kettlebell juggling, or it originated in Russia. So without further ado, what is the simple flip? The simple flip, utilizing our pendulum style swing and our float point, which we have covered in detail in previous videos, is a manipulation of the handle where I'm using my 4 fingers to push downwards. That bell handle is going to rotate around and show along the top, where I'm going to make contact with my hand and catch, just like so. Now with all flips, we can go to the same hand or we can toss to the opposite hand. I will cover both in this video. Now right away, what becomes important again is this float point. And so we need to have this patience to wait until we're at the top of our pendulum swing, where the handle is easiest to manipulate, and then I'm pushing down with my 4 fingers. Now what we also want is also a good habit for all other flips, is a good distance away from the body. So I'm not swinging and flipping with my arm fully extended. That looks weird, and you're going to have a lot of tug on the back. So again, elbow in. I'm rising up to chest height, and everything should happen about the length of the middle of your forearm. I just made that up. About a foot away, maybe with someone who's a bit taller, a little farther away, but we want to be close enough so the downwards portion back into the swing resembles that of a regular swing clean or swing snatch, meaning the path is the same. If that bell path for a snatch comes from here, rises up, then ends up overhead, I want to connect with that same path that we're creating with our flip, just like so. So you'll see my swing is effortless, just as if I'm doing regular swings or swing cleans. Now, to make sure that the bell is flipping nice and symmetrically, there's a few things that we need to make sure of. Firstly, because we have our 4 fingers on the handle, we have a little more leeway as to being not perfectly centered. So if your hand slips and it comes along the corner of the handle, you'll still get a pretty good flipping. Now, one thing that I see happens a lot is a flip that sort of looks like this. You see how the handle is rotating very strange. And for some reason, when I work with clients, there's a tendency to push down with the outside of your hand more so than the inside portion of your hand, meaning the pointer or middle finger. So if you feel like that bell is rotating funny in the air and it's not perfectly rotating, which is the goal, I invite you to try and push down with your pointer or ring finger, or not your ring finger, your middle finger or your pointer finger, to even out that flip. If that applies, awesome. If not, no worries. All right, so we release. The release is slightly down and away. Seems to be more like a diagonal push with the fingers. Again, we're waiting for that float point. How I'm going to make contact with the handle is ideally here. So not in the fingertips, because then we run the risk of missing the handle and your hand slipping in, which is no fun, or just missing the bell handle in general. And if we go too low, again, we end up potentially missing it. So I find where the fingers connect with the palm, right at that crease, is a great place to make contact. You'll also note, this is Sophie. I'm sure she will be in many a video. She loves coaching with me. You'll see that I'm catching oftentimes head height, and I'm making initial contact with that portion of the hand. I like to think of the catch in 2 different phases. There's the contact, and then there's the grab. We don't need to make that death grip contact right away. Oftentimes we only have one chance to catch the handle when we go for a really quick grab. Instead, when we learn to be a little more relaxed and supple, we can make initial contact. That was aggressive. We can make initial contact with the hand. And then once we know that the bell handle's there, then we close. Oh boy. So, contact, close. Might be hard to see in the video, but I'm in no rush to secure the handle. Again, the catch and the release is both relaxed. We want to feel effortless. We want these to flow. We want to keep our mind nice and soft and continue with that peripheral gaze and feeling in the body that I covered in the last video. So that is our simple flip and some little things here and there. I will cover double flips in a later video once we cover all of the basic flips. So we'll look at that a little later. If there's anything else you need to know about the simple flip, it's that, and with all flips, it's making sure that you're paying attention to the amount of rotation you're putting into the bell. This is not enough rotation. See how it jerked me down? That means that we're not pushing down on the handle hard enough to create that rotation. This, however, for one flip, ouch, is way too much rotation. And so we want to develop this, what I call this just enoughness, where if we're only doing one flip, I'm only going to use the momentum and power required to create one full rotation, no more, no less. This ensures that we're practicing this fluidity and this smoothness, and we're not acting or moving with excess, which is important. Before I leave you guys, switching hands, how we're gonna do this, I'm gonna make sure that my opposite hand is already in the catching position. So there's the releasing hand and the catching hand. The catching hand's always gonna be free. What I'm gonna do is make sure I'm following the bell or staying ahead of it, and you'll see how my hand is almost like I'm saying stop to you. And it's right on top of the bell. This ensures that when I flip the handle is going right into my hand. Bang. Instead of being down here and then having to snipe forward, which increases our chances of missing it. And so keep that hand close. Call it closing the gap between release and catch. The more you can close that gap and shorten the distance between your release and catch, the easier it is to catch. That is our simple flip, along with a bunch of little subtleties. I'm going to leave you with that, and we'll move on in the next video to the reverse.